In August of 1973, Renault Robinson and the Afro-American Patrolmen's League filed a landmark lawsuit against the Chicago Police Department in the city of Chicago for its racist hiring practices and unfair treatment of black police officers. The city of Chicago was founded in 1833 by John Baptiste Point du Sable. He was a French-educated black man born on the island of Haiti to a French sailor, and his mother was a descendant of slaves. He settled on the banks of the Chicago River and had a very successful trading post. Chicago was incorporated as a city in 1837 with a population of 4,000 people. Today, the population of Chicago is 2.7 million people. There are lots of museums, sports teams, and other fun things to do in Chicago. Unfortunately, Chicago is also one of the most segregated cities in America, and without a doubt, racism had an enormous impact on the racial climate of the Chicago Police Department in the 1960s. Ten brave men took it upon themselves to form an organization called the Afro-American Patrolmen's League. They were not well received by the CPD, and several of them endured harassment and threats, not only to themselves but their families. Some of the prominent leaders were Renault Robinson, Edward Palmer, and Howard Saffold. Things only got worse when they started taking action. There were over 250 members of the Afro-American Patrolmen's League in total. The black police officers in the Afro-American Patrolmen's League would often receive harder tasks, unnecessary discipline, very few, if any, pay raises. They were disrespected by white police officers on a daily basis and sometimes suspended. Renault Robinson, in particular, was assigned mindless duties as punishment. He had to patrol an alley that was only 15 feet by 5 feet for 8 hours per day, which equaled his whole shift. The general philosophy of the League was to elevate the black policeman in the black community to the same image status enjoyed by the white policeman in the white community. That is, a protector of the citizens and not a brutal oppressor. We find it impossible to operate within the framework of existing police associations. For example, we disagree categorically with the position of the Fraternal Order of Police supporting stop and frisk, and their position supporting the order to shoot to kill a man, looters during civil disorders. In order to adhere to the general philosophy of the League established several major goals. 1. To improve the relationship between the police department as an institution and the black community. 2. To improve the relationship between black and white police officers. 3. To work toward total police reform.
Policeman in uniform.
Well, first of all, you're given an assignment and a partner. Most of the white guys are wondering what black they're going to get today, and the black guys are wondering the same thing. Which one of these fools am I going to get today? The black cop is saying the only reason I'm with this white cop is because they want to protect his life while he's riding around the black community to ward off the bullets. And so, there's hard feelings on both sides.
Well, what happens then during these 8 hours? You're sitting with this white guy.
Say nothing to each other at all. Can you imagine that for 8 hours?
So there's no conversation?
Very little or none. Very little or none.
Got told Studs exactly what the situation was. My name is Renault Robinson, and when I first started on the police department, I went in there to do the best job I could as a policeman. But that became very difficult once I realized what the true circumstances were.
What led to your disenchantment?
I think it was just seeing blacks being treated one way and whites being treated another. You know, majority of the policemen in my station were white. The opinions that they have of black people are that they're all criminals, they have no morals, no scruples, they're dirty and nasty, etc., etc.
So the trouble is with an ordinary citizen. Could you dwell on this thing?
Well, I would say about 60% of police-citizen contact start on a traffic situation. Certain units have really developed a science around stopping the automobile. In other words, in their minds, if they stop 100 cars in the black community, the likelihood of them finding 1 or 2 or 3 violations of some sort is highly possible. Now, of course, after you've stopped 1,000, you've got 900 people who are very pissed off. Teachers, lawyers, doctors, or just average working people who haven't broken any law and are very irritated and aggravated about being stopped by the police. And black folks or minority tolerance of that police brutality has grown very short.
Of course, they won't accept it.
They won't accept that treatment. They won't accept that dehumanizing, degrading treatment. That's why more young kids are being killed by the police than ever before.
50 years later, whether it's Chicago or Baltimore or Detroit, the same thing is happening in all of these cities. It just feels like deja vu. At the time I joined the Chicago Police Department, I was young, and I guess I was very energetic about doing something about racism. You know, I remember they forced us to put sawed-off shotguns, police issued, in the squad cars, loaded with 00 buckshot. If you're a hunter, you know what that is. I and, a handful of other black police officers just felt that that was wrong. You're chasing a kid or chasing a stolen car, and you got something that could tear somebody's head off. So, the Afro-American Patrolmen's League, we raised hell, we picketed, we marched, we did everything to get the police department to take those guns out of the squad cars. Of course, speaking out on a regular basis made me a popular fellow in the police department. You go into your locker room and you see in your mailbox is human feces and cigarette ashes and trash. You kind of know what that means. You go in the bathroom and there's a picture of you on the wall dressed as a native with a bone in your nose. You know how they feel. They were all nicky-nack stuff just to try and force me out of the department.
I know the fact that you now have the reputation of speaking out, speaking your mind. Every now and then you're suspended.
I've got a 30-day suspension pending now.
What do they use as grounds?
Well, this latest one, I'm being suspended because I was passing out literature in the police station to black policemen about the Patrolmen's League. I was arrested in the station, and I'm being suspended for conduct unbecoming a policeman.
In the end, I knew I had to go. I mean, I had fractured too many feelings and too many people who didn't want to hear what I had to say. And I left. I get a small pension now, and the beat goes on.
The triumph of the Afro-American Patrolmen's League was that as a result of the lawsuit, the city was forced by Judge Prentice Marshall to change its racist hiring practices and unfair treatment to black police officers. Some of the things they would do is disqualify black candidates by saying that they either had a heart murmur or flat feet, and they were not qualified for the rigors of the job. These practices were outlawed as a result of the lawsuit. The tragedy is that despite all of the efforts of the Afro-American Patrolmen's League to eliminate racism on the job, Many of those same issues, such as discrimination against black police officers and citizens of the black community, still exist today, 50 years later.